Here we go. Good morning, everyone. A very cool topic this morning. A little bit basic. We're going to talk about paying agents. How do you pay them? How much do you pay them? Coming back in a couple of seconds. So, how much do you pay a real estate agent? Are you paying too much? Are you paying not enough? How do you pay them? Up front, at the end. James Lampler, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Novak. How are you today?
Good, buddy. Good. Okay, let's get straight into it. Selling. How much? What are the fees?
First person to be employed.
Go.
Last person to be paid.
Yeah. So we're one of the last industries where we are a fee that we're not charging per hour, and as we go, we're getting paid on a success fee. So imagine having a carpenter and saying, mate, if I'm happy with the house at the end, I'll accept the house and I'll pay you. It's different being a real estate agent. You'll actually you'll go the full mile, you'll get the deal. But what's the fee you're going to pay an agent?
So your percentage on your commissions, and I suppose it all comes down to how well your agent negotiates. And if they're negotiating well with you, they're most likely going to be negotiating well with your buyers as well, which will lead to a better sale price, which leads to more money for you, more money for the agents at the same time as well. Do people get scared by just the commission number, Mark? Is that sometimes,
you know what they do? People do get scared by an agent's commission because they can't quantify the amount of hours, dollars, and work that gets done behind that. So unfortunately, it's one of those things where you just don't really know what's going into it until unless they really physically sat in your office and saw all the work everyone does towards that, they wouldn't really get an imagination around the sheer cost. But it's sitting at about 1 point, depending on what areas of Sydney, it's sitting between 1.5 to probably 2.5. I find eastern suburbs will ratchet down more because the prices are higher in that area. So there's, per unit, per sale, per house, it's actually cheaper. Good morning to Luke Moroney. Good morning to Anmal. Anmal, good comparison, telling a doctor that a doctor's really not negotiable with fees. They're a professional who's been doing it for 5, 10, 20 years. Happy with the surgery, I'll pay for you. Imagine that. Luke, some people don't see the value. But you know what? I understand people not seeing the value in an agent's fee. I completely get that. But it's up to the agent to illustrate that and explain that to the people that are paying the fee. So not necessarily the person's fault for not actually understanding it. They shouldn't. They're not even in the business. But an agent's got to actually, illustrate that value. So what else do you reckon?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you wonder, does the agent that charges less commission get more business, or is it the other way around? And I think there's not really going to be a correlation. It's going to depend on, the person that you're working with at that time. But what would be the differences, Mark, between a 1 or a 1.5% agent to your 2 or 2.5% agents?
You know what? I think I think no one wants cheap. Don't want, if someone who's going to come along and do it for below market, below everyone else, generally, you want to be a bit more guarded. I'm not going to say they're shit. I'm just going to say generally that you want to be a bit more guarded. But I think that if there are, it's like really anything. You will get qualities, different qualities with the cheaper person and different qualities than the expensive person. But you know what, James, there's a consumer for everything. If you go and buy a television from Harvey Norman, you've got 10 different brands that all do the same thing.
Do they all do the same thing?
Well, you can watch telly on all of them.
Yeah.
It's a bit like cars. You know, you can get a car to take you from A to Z that costs you $12,500, and you can get a car that costs you $100,000 that takes you from A to Z. You can't be all things to all people, and I think with agents it's the same thing. It is a professional service, and then you
Yeah.
just got to find out what best fits you, and find the agent that best fits you, and that fee was going to be part of that.
Yeah, sure. And I guess you're right. I think a lot of it does come down to the relationship and the rapport you build, and that might not, the commission might not have anything to do with it. But would you not say that it's sort of a more risk, more reward if you're paying more commission? If you're entrusting someone who holds themselves to a high standard like that, the likelihood is, or you'd hope so, that they're able to back that up. And, you know, if you're charging an extra 0.5% of commissions and you're paying the 2 or the 2.5, which, you know, it's not a cheap rate. But then if you get 50K or 100K or 200K more on your sale, you know, that 0.5% becomes a really obsolete little number that really, you know, shouldn't interfere in what you're thinking. It's a big difference in what can come from the low agent to the higher agent.
And it's a free question. You know, like if you are a bit concerned about paying the higher fee for the agent you like, it's actually a free hit. It costs you time.
Yeah.
So you give them 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and if that investment in a higher fee isn't worth it,
Yeah.
you can move to another agent, or you can renegotiate with that agent potentially. But so that's selling fee, right?
Yep.
Guys and girls, we talked about selling fee for selling properties. Now it's a percentage on the sale price. On commercial, there's also GST to be considered as well with the final sales price. The fee gets paid at the end. So when you get all of your money, that's when the agent gets paid automatically on the settlement proceeds. So a lot of sellers don't know they don't have to cut a check for the agent up front, or when it exchanges, when everybody signs, it gets taken out on the settlements right at the end. So you're not actually sweating out to pay an agent $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 and find that money. It'll come from the proceeds at the end.
Yeah.
Agents' fees with rentals.
Agent fees with rentals. Again, a couple different ways. You can have just casual leasing. You can have leasing and management. So there are a couple different things.
What's Michelle saying?
An agent willing to discount your commission may be willing to discount on your final negotiated price. If they aren't willing to sell on their service, are they working hard to get you the best price? It's a good point.
Yeah, if they're going to prostitute their fee, they're probably going to prostitute your sales price of your home. Absolutely.
What we're talking about, rentals, Mark. So again, it comes down to, you know, for your investment property, potentially you're moving away, going overseas for a year, you want to get someone in your property. Again, it goes down to the management side of things. And again, it's a sales pitch at the end of the day, but you're offering your professional services to them, and why your company, why you as a property manager, why you as whatever agent, the capacity they have to hold your asset at its highest value and get the most bang for buck for you. And that's the bottom line at the end of the day, isn't it? That we as agents are protecting their asset, or we're trying to make the most of their asset for them. And that's the only bottom line that you have to consider, right?
Yeah, I love the way Lisa says it. It is, you are trusting someone with a bag of cash. So you are going to be giving them $500,000 of your money. You are going to be giving them $1 million of your money. It's called a unit, or it's called a house. Your unit, your house. You're gonna take that and give that bag of cash to an agent to look after it. So when you come back to collect your bag of cash, one, you want to make sure there's more money in there than when you left it, and two, you want to make sure that bag of cash is returning on itself per week and investment. So guys and girls, when you're paying fees for an agent, they are looking after your bag of cash. The better the agent is, the better you're going to get that bag of cash back in better shape. Now, the amount of dollars that that an agent will ask for. Again, it's different throughout Sydney, even throughout states, but northern beaches and then across to the eastern suburbs and then out to the inner west, generally a management fee these days is
6.6, 6 plus GST, 7, 5.
Yep.
Didn't we hear about one a month or so ago, Mark? We heard about a 1% management fee. Do you remember that? And you're right, and you don't want to say it, but it's like you're prostituting yourself out. It's you're working for, you have to also hold your time as valuable, and it's just interesting to see the way people might go about getting business and attracting business and how they might negotiate for business. But everyone has a different method, I suppose.
Yeah, remind me about. I'm going to talk about a treasury fee that agents are starting to charge, which is that 1 or 2%. We'll come back to that in a minute or two. But before we wrap it up, a management fee generally is 5 to 7%, average of 6, like you said, James.
Yeah.
The management fee is full service, so you should be able to. What you watch out for is the bells and whistles, is that they may have a bunch of hooks in there that's going to cost you more than 5 plus GST or 7 plus GST. So they may say, and we're going to charge you for an ingoing, and we're going to charge you for an outgoing, and we're going to charge you if you blink, and we're going to charge you if you stutter. So you just want to make sure that there's no other fees or charges that are built into that 5 to 7% fee. There's also a second fee, guys. It's called a leasing fee. So one's a management fee, which is going to look after you from year to year, from month to month. But every time a tenant's located, an agent will charge you for locating that tenant. So basically that agent's going to charge, what is it?
1 week's rent on top of the management side of things as well. So that's a down payment essentially.
Okay. And like Luke's brought up a good one in Queensland, the median rent in Queensland in Sydney is probably like 600 or 700. The median in Queensland is probably like 400 or 500. So the management fees even start creeping towards 8%. In Western Australia and some other areas, I've even heard more. 1% management fee is ridiculous. And let's finish off on a treasury fee. So now what we're starting to see is on the massive portfolio properties, the huge commercial properties that are out there, these asset managers will charge sometimes 1%, 2%, or 3%. These but also the owner will pay a full wage. The landlord will pay a full wage. So if you see, these Bunnings parks, there's Bunnings there. There's all these guys. So what they'll often do, the city commercial agencies, they'll say you're going to pay 120 grand for a Bruce McInniby to be on site managing the property, and you're going to pay 2% of the management fees to our officers, or you're going to pay for 2 wages plus. So they start to split it up a little bit on the really large portfolio stuff. But I'm talking, you're talking, $3-7 million a year of rent coming in. They're big portfolios. Now, on a micro scale, which is what you were talking about, which is what Luke's talking about, there is a treasury service that agents are starting to offer. We're not going to talk to your tenant. We're not going to talk to your tenant. When all they're going to do is pay, and then we're going to run that through our system and pay you. So it's almost like a gateway. They're just almost like just a treasury service. They're not really lifting a finger for absolutely anything. And then what actually ends up happening is you're realizing you're not really got a managing agent and you need more. And then when you go to them and say, I want more, they charge you per service. It's an arm wrestle every service. So, it's generally not really working well for anyone who's doing it, and they generally come to a full service real estate agent.
Yeah, right. That was a good one. Is there any particular sector or part of the industry that works best in? Is it just for that large scale commercial, because you don't get that in residential.
It's being introduced in sort of boutique residential
Yeah.
by people that work from their garage and call themselves real estate agents and call themselves property managers as real estate agents.
Yeah.
So, as a hybrid, that those super low percentages have always been around, but they've been around in massive centres where there's full-time wages also being allocated on top of those percentages that are paid by the landlord. Big portfolio stuff. And then now you're starting to get people that have come along in the market and say, we'll do 1%, 2%, 3%. But the basic, you've got to think about it, guys. And I'll tell you as a business owner, I'm managing 1,600. Our company's managing 1,600 properties, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And it's like no bullshit. We're managing 1,600 properties, and we may sit on a 10 or 20% profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't care who you are. Do the maths. If that means when I'm charging my clients 6 or 7%, as soon as I get to 5.5%, I'm at break even. Or 5%, I'm probably getting close to break even. So if I need to operate at a 3 or 4% fee, something has to give in our business. I have to get rid of staff. I have to get rid of essentials. Those essentials are going to come back and bite my landlords on the bum. Now, I would suggest to you that on these fees, and I know we're talking about what fees you're paying and I'm running away a little bit, but I would suggest to you on my fees that we've got a cost benefit because we manage so many properties. That kind of cost benefit, you know what I mean? Like suddenly, if I'm running one property for a landlord as opposed to 1,000, I've got some really good economies of scale, and I'm passing those economies of scales onto the owner because I'm only clipping 10 or 20% profit out of those fees.
Yeah.
So you are getting a very good service from agents generally, and it's very clever to invest in it because it's a bag of cash, and you want that bag of cash to be protected by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That was good, Mark. I didn't know a little bit about that, so always learning. Thanks. Anything else this morning?
Nah, I'm going to have a coffee.
Where's the camera?
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
James. Love you. See you, mate.